Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Bram Geertsma and I work for the Oost NL International Business Development Agency. For those who don't know us, Oost is Dutch for East. We are the East Netherlands Regional Development Agency. And as a development agency, we try to boost our economy in many different ways. But the two main tasks of our international team is to help international companies to do business in the eastern part of the Netherlands, but also to help Dutch or East Netherlands based companies doing business abroad. Today we have a very special webinar. Today's speakers are Laurien van Aswegen and Michelle Boysen, and they both represent Petank NXT Smart Solutions. They are a majority women-owned company. In the beginning of 2020, they launched their Dutch operations in the Twente area, which is in the eastern part of the Netherlands. Without barely getting the chance to settle in and get acquainted with the Dutch business culture and the way of living, they got confronted with this global pandemic and its huge influence on the way we do our work. As sad as this reason is for change in working behavior, it also accelerated people's awareness for smart solutions, which enables them to work remotely. It also showed us that almost everybody can adapt to these new ways of working. Today's webinar is all about what you and your company can do to integrate smart tech into your business. Petank's NXT approach has helped companies and organizations in South Africa to save time and costs and operate more efficiently, and this also might prove valuable to you. Before I would like to give the word to Laurien, I would like to make some final remarks. Everybody who's listening today will receive the presentation slide deck afterwards through mail. You are also invited to join and participate to engage in this webinar. During the webinar, we will have two polls, and you can enter the poll by scanning the QR code or just click on the URL, which is given in the chat box. In the same chat box, you can also ask your questions, who will be addressed later on. Before we go to Laurien, I would like to give some first words to Mark, and he is from SANEC. Mark, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Bram, for your introduction. My name is Mark Achterbos. I'm leading the Southern African Netherlands Chamber of Commerce for EMEA. Here in the Netherlands, we're based in The Hague with our headquarters. On behalf of SANEC, we would like to welcome all participants for this webinar this afternoon. As from SANEC, we drive the Saba Center. And the Saba Center is focused on a business acceleration program between Netherlands and South Africa. It co-creates and it creates partnerships which are mutually beneficial, in particular in technology and in smart technology. We try to boost the smart technology agenda between Netherlands and South Africa, because technology plays an essential role in the lives of people, whereby we believe that technology is driving equity and quality worldwide through all businesses and through all lives of people, the well-being of people in the world. Before I hand over to Laurien, I noted yesterday that it was International Women in Engineering Day, and I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate Michelle, Laurien, and Annelies for the successfully set up of the Petank NXT Smart Solutions BV here in the Netherlands. We're really proud that you are here and we can work with you. We wish you all an inspiring webinar this afternoon, and I would like to hand over now to Laurien. I thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And now let's get started. I trust you can all see my screen. And what we will be talking about today is working remotely. Is smart tech the answer? Myths and facts about robotic process automation, blockchain, and other smart tech solutions for managing processes from a distance. And at this point, I should just mention that this webinar series is for mainly the east of the Netherlands, as Bram explained, OostNL members and constituents and their area where our offices are is really about industry, manufacturing and R&D. And of course, there will be more in the series for services, but today I invite you to have a look at these manufacturing examples and let's see where we can separate the myths from the facts. So, digitalization. The word of 2020, Mark says, with COVID. So digitalization is a catch-all phrase. It's a word that's used quite widely by many people to mean many things. But essentially, if we stick to Gartner and a few of the definitions that similar entities use, digitalization is about taking what you know to be a physical asset or to be a physical process and to take the data, whether that data is in numbers and words, or whether it's in events or transactions, or even if it's a visual sort of picture or a live embodiment of that process, and to turn that into a format that can be understood by a computer, because computers understand digital. Much like radios understand frequency and signal, computers understand digital means and ways of being. So that's all it is. And what digitalization does, it enables you as the owner of the process to control that process through a digital interface without having to physically be in that process. And so that leads us on to, well, what kind of technologies are involved? Well, it's smart tech, and I'll tell you about smart tech in a minute. As soon as we go through a few of the questions that are very typical nowadays with our clients and our partners and our collaborators in the industry. What do people say? One group of people are saying, I'm concerned. My business was not designed for remote work. And many of us got caught off guard with COVID, but some businesses are still worried. They haven't been able to figure out how to work remotely. It's not that easy for every type of business. Other people are saying, I'm ready. I don't want to be left behind with digitalization. And another group are saying, I'm curious. How can smart tech help me to digitalize? And so we're going to ask you this afternoon a similar question. How do you feel about smart technology? And I invite you at this point to use your mobile device. Look at the QR code. It should take you to a poll. Floris is also putting a URL. MJ is also putting a URL into your chat box. So if you look at the chat box on your Teams screen, you should see a URL that will also take you to the same poll. And there we'd like to engage you on the following question. How do you feel about smart tech? I'm concerned my business was not designed for remote work, or I'm ready. I don't want to be left behind with digitalization, or I'm curious. How can smart tech help me to digitalize our work? Great. So let's hand over to MJ at this point and see how those results are coming in. Okay, I see quite a bit of refreshing happening, which means people are still engaging with the poll. Yep, still some more coming in. So maybe I'll give it another few seconds. I don't see the trend changing though, so please do continue to vote, continue to put your choice down. But yes, I don't see the trend changing too much. It looks like the vast majority of people on today's webinar are curious. Yes, a nice healthy chunk are ready, but definitely there are quite a few that are concerned, and hopefully we can, when we get to the questions later, we can answer some of the questions and help with that. Wonderful. So MJ, I see those results are coming in. You keep track of that. I'm going to take back the screen and then take our audience onto the next part of our webinar. Good, so I hope the screen's back, and this takes us into smart tech. So what is smart tech? Well, smart technologies are abundant. Today I'm going to share a little bit about the most popular smart technologies in manufacturing. And I'll start outside the factory gate, so at the warehouse, with something called autonomous vehicles. So autonomous vehicles are not new to us as engineers in manufacturing. We've had smart forklifts or driverless forklifts for quite a while. But nowadays, the autonomous vehicles are smaller, they're more agile, and the best of all is they're connected via web servers to cloud computing. That gives us remote access and remote management over the autonomous vehicles. And of course, autonomous vehicles are far more than just forklifts. They come in all shapes and sizes. Even flying autonomous vehicles are in use in many supply chains. What happens to all the data? Well, we could put all this data onto a blockchain. And blockchain is one of those technologies that I do believe is really underestimated. So much can be done on a blockchain because it's like distributed databases, hyper-connected, but with extreme benefits. Transparency, real-time event logging, there's just no end to what can be done with a blockchain. And many supply chain businesses use blockchain to track and trace, or are starting to use blockchain to track and trace between many pieces of the supply chain, for example, many factories, many interconnecting stakeholders. But more recently, we have been involved in an exciting project that puts blockchain inside manufacturing for quality management, quality assurance, and for maintenance management. So you see, blockchain really has capability back to front office. And the nice thing again, accessible right to your user interface because it is web enabled. What else can we log on to blockchains? Yes, we can use RFID tagging and reading. And remember, RFID tagging has been around for a very long time, but smart, very, very smart nowadays is the ability to put an RFID tag into a drop of ink. You can print it on an inkjet. And this enables you to take RFID tagging away from solid, traditionally solid materials and into things like fabrics. So really becoming even smarter. Into the factory we go. IIoT sensors. Industrial Internet of Things sensors. Yes, in manufacturing, we've always used sensors. We've used pressure, temperature, proximity, and we've sensed a lot of things in manufacturing. But those sensors would act on a particular control element. For example, open a valve, start a pump, run a motor. What these IIoT sensors can do is they are connected. And because they are connected and can interface with one another, you can get a holistic picture. And this enables you to have remote digital control of a module or even an entire workplace. Robotics, not new. Fixed robotics has been in place in manufacturing for quite a number of years, but now we also have standalone or mobile robotics coming into the workplace. Computer vision, also known as machine vision, really amazing capability. This is where the computer creates a picture of what's going on in the black box just by the data that's flowing through the machine at that point in time. And the marvelous thing about machine vision is, and computer vision, it gives you the ability to see, act, and troubleshoot with great precision. Because in the past, we'd have to guess what was happening, order the wrong parts, maintain the wrong thing. Now we have great precision. And once again, computer vision, web-enabled cloud services, we can see right into the heart of the machine from wherever we are. A few more popular smart technologies, wearables. Really a fantastic addition to maintenance managers' lives, as well as risk and governance and safety officers. You could extend permit to works and licensing information protocols right to the wearable, ensuring the right person with the right license, the right skill is able to access your highly valuable equipment. Of course, AI. Nowadays, the machines tell us what they'll do next. So AI is ever growing and becoming smarter and more accessible as well in modular form. And then this industrial augmented reality. I must say this has really taken off in recent years because it enables one, just by putting on a set of glasses or even using your mobile device, to hold up an application, point it at a machine and be able to get guidance or advice on how to maintain that machine or operate that machine. So what pulls this all together? Very clever production management. No matter how many of these individual pieces of tech one has or has not, production management teams remain the heart and soul of any production environment. Your quality management, your HR management, finance, R&D, engineering management. And what sort of smart technology helps with the everyday short interval control routines of these jobs? Well, the smartest tech of them all, I believe, at the moment, because it's so accessible and so easy to introduce, is robotic process automation. These are digital robots, and they're starting to gain a great foothold in production management to make production management easier and smoother. So I promised you a little bit of news about those glasses. So these glasses, these assisted reality or augmented reality glasses, or even your smart device, pop it over a machine and it tells you where to do maintenance. But the other thing I saw, which was really excellent, I saw this at an innovation center in Bengaluru not too long ago, is the ability to put on these assisted reality glasses and with the application that's been programmed there, look at something that's on your production line and see how it will look in the hands of the consumer at the point of purchase. Now, this is fantastic for R&D. Okay, so some of the benefits for production managers. Predictive quality. We'd all rather know what we're doing and do quality at source than measure it afterwards. And bear in mind, production is highly variable. You won't get the same raw materials all the time. You won't get the same environmental conditions all the time. How do you maintain the low variability as possible? RPA for production management, predictive quality, proactive maintenance, reduced costs, and of course, the ability to speed up processes. So now that you know all about smart technology in manufacturing, let's talk about some of those myths. Okay, so I see the smart tech, but you know what? Myth number one, remote work is a passing phase. We think that's a myth, and the fact of the matter is, remote work is probably the new normal. There most likely will be more lockdowns, and there most likely will be other events to happen in the future that require remote work. And we're also seeing that a lot of the new talent that's coming into the workplace are favoring businesses, choosing to work for businesses that offer remote work as part of a work-life balance. So we're seeing some very interesting trends. What can help with this? Digitalization. Second myth, there's no rush to digitalize. The fact of the matter is, especially with your very accessible no-code, sort of citizen coding type of technologies, the longer you wait, the further you fall behind your competitors. You know that there's an airline that had to rapidly ramp up at the start of COVID to handle 20,000 calls a day in their call center, to handle the change of tickets and the change of vouchers and so forth and cancellations and postponements for tickets when the airline industry closed down. And all they did was ramp up RPA, put in a few task bots to handle all these queries, and they were able to ramp up without having to find people in a hurry to do this. So the speed at which these things can be done means if you don't start now, you're likely to get left behind. Of course, the big concern is often these things are very expensive. I need deep pockets. No. The fact of the matter is you can do a full robotic process automation transformation project for as little as 5,000 euros. Robots will replace people, actual humans in the workplace, quite a big concern, especially across continents like Africa and so on. The truth of the matter is robotics are always designed into businesses and into processes using human-in-the-loop design. There are tons of activities in manufacturing that are actually downright dangerous for people to do. And that's where robotics plays a big role, and also quite mundane. And that's where robotics play a big role. But cognitive tasks will always need to be done in attendance with robotics. And then finally, bigger is better when it comes to digitalization. No, once again, we find that the range of technologies out there, and our team has been specializing in this for a while. We curate all the new technologies that come out. To see, what is its real claim to fame. And we are finding that there are amazing technologies from a range of suppliers that are available and ready for any enterprise size. So you don't have to have a big bang approach. You can start in a modular way and scale up. All right, so now that you know all about smart tech and all the myths have been busted, let's go into our next poll, which talks about and engages you on whether you have a clear view of your processes to know which ones you can automate. So once again, your mobile device will handle the QR code, and there should be a second poll link in your chat area of Teams where you can answer this question. Do you have a clear view of your processes to know which ones you can automate? Yes, no, or not sure. And at this point, I'm going to once again ask MJ to show us if those results are coming in. And so while MJ is refreshing at this point, I'm going to call on Dr. Michelle Boyson to take us into the final part of the webinar this afternoon and to discuss the results as they come in. Thank you, Michelle.
Right, the poll results are coming in. Looks like it's half-half. And yeah, it looks like 50% of attendees do not have a clear view of the processes that might be automated, which is exciting because now I can share our way going forward. Our clients see our approach as different for two reasons. One, simplifying processes and being clear on who does what is what we do. And we focus, number two, on the people in the process. We start our projects by involving both stakeholders and role players. We assess how automation could help people do what needs to be done and take over the repeat and standardized work that might be part of the process, or continue with the work when people go home. Our digital transformation includes assessment, design, planning, and implementation. Moving on, with simplified, we mean telling the story of each relevant process in the storyboard to bring about participation, understanding, buy-in, and at the same time, improvement. Inclusiveness, in other words. These storyboard process maps are done at different levels, ranging from an overview high level right down to a far more detailed level. The simplification journey consists of 3 steps. Step number 1, a process cannot exist without context. This first step is about understanding the big picture, which includes being clear about your purpose, your vision, the goals and desired results, the strategy, the resources, and the timeline. Next up, once the big picture is clear, we start with a high-level view of the process that shows what happens in the business. This is called a positioning map. During this online workshop, we define the value chain of the business. These are the activities that deliver the purpose of the business. In this example, the business starts with understanding the market and trends and ends with monitoring and reporting on business performance. Next, we find which steps in the value chain cause concern and which ones are fine. Some might have burning issues that need to be addressed, while others we know changes are needed, but we're not clear about what those changes are at that point. Next up, to really understand where the pain points are, we need to delve deeper. So we go down one level to look at the processes involved in each value chain step. We go from blue to yellow and gray to understand what happens in the business, defining the processes that contribute to the steps in the value chain. The gray blocks represent support processes such as IT, human capital management, and governance. The yellow processes contribute directly to the value chain. Defining the DNA in this manner allows us to analyze and assess what transformation is needed in which process. So based on workshop discussion, we pinpoint which process has a burning point, which one needs change, and which one holds a risk and therefore needs a control. Having analyzed at high level which processes need to be focused on, we consider where smart tech could be helpful in supporting those processes and, of course, people. For that, we assign candidate smart tech options based on our experience and use cases, or other words, case studies. In other words, for example, in the product testing process, we've seen this issue with the NPD process before and was resolved by introducing low-code RPA. So let's assign RPA as a likely candidate to resolve the burning issue in that process. Similarly, we could settle on a mitigation for the supply chain process as blockchain, and so on. To design and map the positioning map, we do so in a work session of 90 minutes for a mid-sized business and corporate divisions or teams. The speed at which the scope of work is defined is a huge benefit because it saves time and is the most effective way to quickly bring clarity. Next up, to design transformation and plan what smart tech is best used, we need to drill down even further. So if you were to click on a yellow block, this is how we map at the detailed level of mapping. As you can see, there is a lot more detail about what exactly is happening in this process. The steps, or the blue blocks, who does what in each step, and how each step is performed gets mapped. Based on discussion, we add a smart tech solution that could address a known issue in specific steps. So let's work through some of the process steps. Here, blockchain could interlink transactions in this area of the process. Next up, let us focus on the information per step. In this particular step, as in each blue block, it states the task. For instance, receive application, assess stock levels. We also look at roles and responsibilities. At the bottom is the people who make the step happen, and at the top, the people that needs to be engaged with, the stakeholders. To the left is input, to the right is output. We also indicate systems that's being used per step. We show the means of communication and the flow of information, which could serve as an audit trail. In some processes, in some of the process steps, we add management elements such as risk, cash in or outflow, measurement points, quality assurance points, burning points as we've done before, risks and controls. In this step in particular, data collected could assist in predictive analytics. And here machine learning as a subset of AI could provide valuable breakdown or supply chain analytics. Next up, a low-code automation string in this step could process applications at as fast as speed as necessary or needed and with accuracy, because software simply loves repeat and standard work. Moving forward, in this area, a robot could in each of these steps also ensure that repeat and standard work is delivered, freeing up people to focus on product improvement and feedback from customers, or doing dangerous work, or working 24/7. Now, to give you an idea of how this could look in your organization, a small process comprises up to 15 steps, a medium up to 25, and a large process up to 45. So how long does it take? For a medium to a large process, we define the process-specific smart tech plan in 2 to 4 days, and we do it online. So our process approach to smart tech is one thing that makes us different. The second is the fact that we place a huge emphasis on the people side. Process involves humans. In fact, humans are central to the process. Our firm belief is that smart tech must be used to assist humans, not to replace them. That is why we call it what we call ethical smart tech. As we work through the processes, we engage the people who execute these processes. We get their input and their buy-in. All our projects include the critical element of change management, which again ensures buy-in. As we progress, we journey with people through the change, providing training and support. Now that you know more about smart tech and how to bring it into your organization, only one question remains. Are you ready for the next lockdown? I'm handing over to Bram so that we could run through some Q&A, and we're looking forward to some good conversation.
All right. I hope everybody can hear me, because the last 5 minutes were a little bit, well, some technical issues, so our apologies for that. Not to worry, because for those who missed the start of this webinar, we will share all the slides presented today, and there will also be an opportunity to talk in further depth with Laureen or Michelle. We still have 10 minutes, and if anybody has a question, please drop it into the Q&A section. But we already did this webinar one time before, last week, and I remembered some questions from last time. The first one is for Laureen. It's a time-related question. So when a person or a company talks to you and speaks to you for advice, and they want to start a project, how does that work?
Okay, thanks, Bram. That's an interesting question and a very popular one. So how do we get started? There's always a conversation, because there's always a need, there's always a problem to be solved, and we help the client to navigate to where the solvable problems are. And then, as Michelle mentioned, work through a short design session where we can come up with, well, how do we help you with this? Sometimes, however, the client knows exactly, and I've got quite a few of that happening at the moment. The client knows, I want to automate this exactly, and I need it to work like that. And of course, those are easy. Within a few days, you can have the client up and running. So it really depends where the client's at, Bram, and we have various. Some clients just want us to train their people and say, oh, don't want people to get left behind, just come and train us. So it really depends. It depends on your outcome, and it depends on what your current problem is and your objective. Yeah.
And to establish that objective, is a phone call sufficient, or do you come to people's offices, or how does that work?
So we do a couple of things. A phone call is usually sufficient to understand the scope in kind of a broad context, but then we have more deep dive remotely via the kind of means we're talking about now. And where it's safe to do so, it always does help to have a walk around, especially in a physical environment, if it is safe to do. Yeah.
And once you have advised a company to for instance, integrate a robot in their processes, do you do anything with aftercare, or do you just do the advice upfront?
No, we do, depending on what the client chooses. We actually configure the robot, we install and implement the RPA, we train everyone to how to configure and train the bots going forward, and then of course we provide professional service ongoing. These things are seldom, well, there are a few of our clients that just buy the platform, they know what they're doing. Most of our clients prefer us to walk the journey And that's actually our strength, is to walk the full journey, including the change management that goes with it.
Okay, interesting. And one of the questions we got last time is, well, it sounds expensive to implement smart tech. Can you say anything about that? And also, how does your own pricing, how does that work?
Sure. So I'll speak a little bit about from a technical point of view, comparatively speaking. Maybe Michelle can tell us what the bundles of projects are and the costing at the moment. But so there are technologies like RPA, especially no-code and low-code RPA technologies, that's available on subscription. So these are like a few €100 on subscription, or if you want to own the platform, you can own it from as little as a few thousand, like under 5,000 to own your own robotic platform. So this is possible, and it goes all the way up to millions, depending on what you want to do. So there's a range. In terms of the three types of key projects that we run, we normally have buckets. Michelle, do you want to just tell us about the pricing on those key buckets?
Well, obviously, we're speaking either euro or South African rands because we operate in both markets. But essentially, if you start off with, as I just explained, the positioning map, just to get a sense of how deep you want to go with your smart tech. That happens in 90 minutes, and if I recall correctly, that's a €199 session for that information. Then we go into the next level, where we understand, as I showed, the processes, which could range, depending on how many you would like to do, that could range between €3 to €1,000 for however many you need to have delivered. So we cost on an outcome based. So if you say you need 3 processes and 2 are short processes and 1 is a large process, will cost accordingly.
Okay, there are some questions in the meantime from the audience as well, and we still have 5 minutes left. So first one. Is somebody working for an IT academy and they provide training. What would you advise them to train and focus on?
Very interesting one. So I'll maybe take that one. I would say to connect, and it's really something that in our line of work as digital transformation, we find connecting IT training and IT people and thinking with the real business world problems. That's, if you can add those modules to those academies, those would be fantastic, because real business with real processes, of course, need to be IT enabled, but to understand that business and understand how to facilitate getting that knowledge out, that's critical. So I would say add that. I would also add a component of always researching how new technologies are accessible and are cyber secure. So those 2 things I would say are critical in today's world. We can't do IT for IT's sake anymore. Those days are past.
All right. And another question, how do you get trust from your clients? So how would they trust you to implement your advice?
So I reckon the experience, we have very deep specialists, and we really invest heavily in learning and R&D, but we also tech agnostic. So I think this is quite important. We ensure that we don't shoehorn a client into one solution. And that's often a big mistake that clients can make. They think there's only one type of tech that can answer that kind of problem. So we get trust because we walk the journey with the client, and we don't shoehorn them into one or the other technology. We're very open, and we show them the plus and the downside of every option, and ultimately their choice and the fact that we walk with them builds the trust.
Okay, well, maybe time for one more last question, and it's related to the platforms you're working with. Somebody in the audience is looking to work with a virtual computer lab. Is that something you can do?
It's a very good question. I guess the answer is, how long is a piece of string? So I would love to chat to whoever that is afterwards. But yes, we can definitely do a design for a virtual computer lab. We can look at technology stack and architecture design. So I know we don't have a lot of time, but maybe I can leave with this with the audience, okay? You need four designs when you want to digitalize. The one is your process. The other one is your architecture. Okay, the other one is your secure transaction design. So how will I ensure that how I'm interfacing works? And finally, there's a look at what my web service design looks like. With those four, you're then able to pinpoint and plug your technology on top and chart away. Yeah, so I'll leave that with that person. Hopefully it helps them. Otherwise, we can have a chat. If they leave their email, we can email a response.
Yeah, because in the meantime, more questions are dropping in. But in the Netherlands, time is time. So we have to close the webinar soon. Michelle, can I give you some final words? How can people talk to you afterwards?
Thank you for all the questions. Just 2 things before we close. Here are our contact details again. Do get in touch. We are here to guide you and travel with you on your smart tech journey. We offer courses, provide an advisory service, and of course do full automation implementation. Who knows what the future holds? The world is an ever-evolving place and things happen fast. Know that your competitors are using this time to get ready for the next round. Don't get left behind. Your critical processes can't wait till next year. It's as simple as that. So here's an invitation. Why not book a 20-minute complimentary call with us? Some of the questions that were asked, I would love to elaborate on those. And we would again invite you to simply click on the link that we've posted in the chat box and let's talk. It's easy to book. When meeting, we will talk about your specific situation and how to ensure your success using smart tech, even if it's step by step. We're keen to speak to you. Our proverbial virtual door is open. Bram, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, both Laureen and Michelle, for talking us through your views on smart tech and how companies can implement that. I want to thank everybody for listening and also for asking your questions. Rest assured that we will follow up on those questions afterwards. And for now, I wish you all a very nice day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.